A resolution to who for what?
I thought I'd need to get permission, then,
Well, you really need to state what your resolution is.
Okay, I would like to prepare a resolution for a budget amendment of $45,000 to be transferred from the oil and gas fund to the riverboat fund, replacing the $45,000 that was utilized for the contractual service for the noise ordinance. And my reason for this is the noise ordinance was based upon a situation with the oil and gas, so I thought that those funds should come from the oil and gas trust fund.
You can take a look at it.
So just replacing
proceed.
Okay. That was my resolution.
Got a second on it. Mr. Crowe?
Just technically, I think what Commissioner Epperson is wanting is an ordinance, not a resolution.
That's what I thought I said in the ordinance.
I thought you had a resolution.
Okay, with a budget amendment, okay, the ordinance.
It's been moved and seconded to allow him to bring up this. Is there any discussion on that? Or first, let's vote to allow him to bring it up, please. Okay.
Okay, basically, what this is we utilized $45,000 from the riverboat boarding fee fund to pay for our portion of the consultant's fee for the ordinance consultation.
Yes.
And I'm just stating that I think that since this is related to oil and gas related, that these funds should come from that particular fund. So I'd just like to take the $45,000 from the oil and gas fund and replace the $45,000 back into the riverboat boarding fee fund.
Any other discussion on his motion? Pardon me?
I thought that I'm not up.
I'm not.
Is it working today?
No, it's not yet. Commissioner Dominic?
Mr. Grubb, I'm assuming what we're doing is introducing an ordinance. Can we do that as far as the timeline? Well, I guess what we're trying to do is introduce an ordinance for introduction on Thursday.
Yes, sir. I think if the motion passes, as I appreciate it, would be direction to the administration to have an ordinance for introduction Thursday.
Right.
And since the agenda has not yet been prepared for that meeting, that would not be a problem.
Okay. I just procedure-wise is the question I had.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Commissioner Fox?
I don't have a problem with moving that around, but the noise ordinance did not specify for oil and gas. It was also for any other industrial or type settings out in the parish. It wasn't specific for that, even though we did tie in with Bossier at the same time. Because as Mr. Smith will tell you, there's other entities besides oil and gas that has noise. And we did a noise study and threw that in there at the same time. So I don't have a problem if the majority of it goes with it. That's fine with me, but still in all, it just wasn't strictly oil and gas related.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Commissioner Smith?
I have the same concern that David has, because some of the comments that the pennies are getting back are not from so much from oil and gas industries, SWEPCO, ARPA, all of these concerns are coming back and having more questions almost than the oil and gas people. So I don't quite think it may be warranted.
Anyone else have any comment? First round?
I do, I guess.
Coach?
I just think it was precipitated, what we did, the study was precipitated because of the noise in related to the trucks, oil and gas. That's what precipitated the study. Now, certainly it has encompassed other things since then, but the precipitation of the study was basically for the oil and gas, basically the gas wells and the noise at the gas mills, gas mills.
Specifically the gas compressor stations.
Yeah, the compressor stations and all that. So it was basically, it had more to do with that than any other noise, but I guess when you start developing, just like we did all of the other things that we developed, you have to encompass all the other noises that occur as well. That's it, Mr. President.
Anyone else, first round? Ms. Bryant, is there any problem with doing this from your standpoint?
No, it just would be a transfer from one fund to the next since the expenses occurred in the prior year, in 2010.
Okay. Originally, do you remember why it was done this way anyway?
It was the talk that it was not specifically for oil and gas, and that's why it was done out of Riverboat.
Because it really doesn't matter.
No, it does not matter.
Commissioner Epperson?
I just think it was, the catalyst for the study was the oil and gas drilling activity that came into the parish, and I would hope that you all will support the motion to transfer those funds, as I stated. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Vote to move this to Thursday.
Just a moment, please.
All right, move to Thursday. Any other agenda additions? All right, being none, move to citizens' comments. Is there anyone here who would like to address the commission at this time, who is not on the agenda? All right, moving along. Administrative reports, Mr. Wilson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and Happy New Year to everybody. At our last regular meeting, Commissioner Lynch asked me to give you all an update on Mr. Joyner's progress as it relates to the census. I did actually come and give you an update of where we are because the numbers are about to become available. And also accompanying him is Mr. Leon Gafford. He is our census guy here at the parish, so he may be able to add some value to that as well and answer any questions you may have relative to the census reporting what's going on at this time. So without any further ado, Mr. Joyner, would you come forward, please? And kind of give us a snapshot of where we are, where we're heading at, where we're going.
I'll do it. How are y'all doing? Glad to be back. Believe me, thank you. Things are moving pretty quickly, believe it or not. The state announced last week that they are going to receive their figures on February 2nd, which is great news for us. We should receive ours. I've been talking to the Census Bureau and talking to the provider that handles the GIS data about the 15th of February. So we will have 3 months to do what we need to do. And I've got some, you all have in front of you several sheets of paper, and I want to talk about those for the moment. First of all, and this came from Bernie Robertson today, this is about as hot as it gets. Look at the report, please. It says 1A. And about just above halfway, you'll see something that says Parish Commission Districts. Now, this is not population. This is registered voters as of today. But it's indicative of what we're going to be facing. Just looking at the first column, the total number of voters, guess what? District 9 is big. Nobody's going to be shocked by that. It is going to be the one that we really have to look at. 8 comes right after it. If you look at the total number of voters, and let's say that the ideal is about 12,000. If you're under 12,000 or between 12 and 13, then you're going to grow. If you're above 13 or so, you're going to shrink. We just have to figure out how. And it does no good to even try to figure it out before we get the figures in. Right now, I'm still dealing with little lines that's coming from Census Bureau, of which I've already found errors. So we're trying to deal with those. For those of you who are veterans in this, you know what I'm talking about. It happens every time. We have to go see, why did they put that line there? What are they doing? What are they thinking about? Has every town that's done an annexation been pre-cleared by justice? Right now, it looks like the answer is no. Then we have to come up with, if it is no, we have to tell them we have to disregard that. For you, it will not be as big a deal. For me, it's going to be a nightmare because I have to explain to justice why we're doing things that don't look exactly like what the local authorities think. City of Shreveport appears to be in good shape. I've worked with a lot of their annexations, and Census Bureau's on top of it. I've got some questions in Ida. I've got some questions in Blanchard, particularly, in Greenwood as well. The next thing is you have something that has your precincts. And this will give you an idea about a number of voters per precinct. And we're going to have to do some precinct management. Ernie and I, Mr. Robertson and I have been talking about this for weeks. We have to conform not only with federal law, but with state law. And state law says you cannot have a precinct, excuse me, that has over 2,200 voters. Now, we can take a precinct, and it'll look exactly the same. And we do this a lot in Caddo. And we can divide it alphabetically, A through L, M through Z. We have the same precinct number. It'll just have an alphabetical listing. There are some that we're going to need to think about doing that in this process, because if it is within 10% of that, you're going to grow, and it's got to be changed. We can handle that while we do everything else. For those rural precincts that are very tiny, the state says you cannot have a precinct with less than 300 voters. You've already done a couple of those within the last decade. That's not a big issue until we start looking at how things are combined, if we have to. There's another federal law that says that you can't, and the state goes along with it, that says that you cannot have a precinct in which the last voter on the edge of the precinct, they cannot drive more than 10 miles to a polling place. And that's okay if you're in the city of Shreveport, but if you're looking North Caddo Parish, y'all combined precincts 140 and 141. Yep. Makes perfect sense. I did a real simple analysis, crow-flies, from the southern tip to the northern tip, and it came out at 18.7 miles. Well, that's great, except that most crows don't vote. You have to look at it by roads. I think you're still going to be okay. I did a couple of preliminary tests, and they come in right under 10 miles. Fortunately, the roads in North Caddo Parish tend to be pretty straight. That's good news. Now, you also have a memo from me, and I'm not going to read it to you. There's no reason to read it to you. It's not that long, but there is a sheet in there that says timeline, and I want you to really pay attention to this. This is something that, if you want to, have it laminated and take it with you every place you go. I want you to be able to dream this thing and see what we have to do. So let's talk about what we have to get done, and I'll tell you why we have to do that in the time that we have. State gets their data on or about February 2nd. Let's be comfortable with saying we have 2 more weeks. I think it'll come in faster, but that's when they will deliver it. I'm going to need probably about a working week to make sure that the data fits, that there's no glitches in the data, that all the blocks conform to what they think they have, all the precincts are then formed, make sure that any annexations that justice has cleared that we do not know have been taken care of, because that geography's got to be altered as well. 3rd week of February, closest meeting to that, I will give you a report, and I'll probably give you one before then too, but I will give you a report saying, here are the problems. It will look very much like what you got from the registered voters today. If any district, if any single district in this parish is either 5% above or 5% below the magic number, whatever the magic number is, and that's total population divided by 12, then this commission is malapportioned. And you will legally kick off the process by doing a recognition that you are malapportioned. That means that you can then reapportion yourself. Congress does it, states do it, everybody does it. So that's just the process for doing it. You just make a declaration of malapportionment. Fourth week of February through the end of April, that's when we're going to be working on plans, what ifs, scenarios. We'll have to talk to, engage community groups that want to be involved. They can create their own plans. I can look at them, but I'm here for this body, and so everything's going to come through you. You can look at anything that anybody does, but it's still filtered into the same mix, okay? It's all driven by this body as the parish governing authority. Now, by the second week of May, and hopefully we could do it before then, but by the second week of May, we need to have public hearings. Last time, and time before that, we had 3. We had one in the north part of the parish, we had one at LSUS, and we had one, let's see, where do we have the third one? We could have it here, or we could have it any place you want. I think we had it at a school. Third week of May, the next week. Latest dates for first reading of the reapportionment ordinance. If we can do any of this earlier, the better off we are, okay? But if it slows down for any reason, that's our drop dead date. That's not much time. 3 months is pretty luxurious, because until Justice said that, or until the Census Bureau said that we might have them in mid-March, I was thinking a 2-month window, but a 3-month window is much better. Last dates for the first reading, first week of June. Latest dates for the commission to adopt the reapportionment plan. You adopt one earlier, that's absolutely fine. June 23rd, the final reapportionment packet must be sent, if mailed, to Justice. Now, I'm going to get to that in a minute. The earlier we can approve a plan that we all consider to be as close to bulletproof as possible, the better off we are. And I'll tell you if plans have a problem. If we end up making a lot of plans, we'll end up making a lot of plans. But if we're lucky, we'll have something that we can all live with, that the public will be happy about, that everything will line up. Justice is saying, if the technology is still working, right now, Justice is saying that we can make an electronic submission. So I'd get together with Todd, we'll make everything into a giant PDF file, and we'll send it to them. And then any geographic information system files, and there'll be a ton of them, they can be FTP'd to Justice so that they can have everything and they can start looking. Justice requires 60 days, calendar days, of review time. Those of you who have been through this more than one occasion, you know that Justice is never in a hurry. The voting rights section is famous for about day 58 or day 59 saying, "We have a question," and then you're scrambling to find that answer. If they really like your plan, you're done. They'll send you a pre-clearance letter, and at that point, you're on your way. The last day that we can submit is June 30th. The last day. And the reason for that is that Justice has those 60 days. You have to have a pre-clearance letter from Justice no later than August 30th, which is the deadline for them to approve it. Now, why August 30th? That is 7 days before qualifying, and Louisiana state law says that you must have a pre-cleared plan in place 7 days before you can qualify. Since I'm sure you all want to qualify, that's going to be a great day to make sure that we have all that stuff done. So, when you look at these dates, everything crunches at the end. This is time compression right at the end. The better time to start worrying about this is closer up into February than it is in May. And so, the first plan that you will get from me is what you have now and how far out of whack it is. And that's how you're going to be able to say that you're going to declare malapportionment. The second plan you will get from me is a what if. I have never had a what if that passed a body. And there's an intention for that. The what if plan is to show justice that in some places you cannot even do that, but it's to show justice that yes, there is a mathematical model. It almost never, I'm going to say it never fits local concerns. This plan will disregard where you live, what you do, all that kind of stuff. If I don't do it, justice will say, why didn't you do it? So I'm going to do it. And then plan 3 will get down to where I talk with each one of you. I want to meet with each one of you individually, and I want to meet with you and your neighbors so that we can come up with a consensus. It's best to do it in groups of 3 and 4. It's not trying to subvert the Sunshine Law or anything like that, but it's easier to do really working on what your concept is of your district while you have your neighbors there. So, unless you're like Mr. Dominic, who has neighbors in a parish in 2 states and only looks to the south, everybody else, you may be in a couple of different meetings. And we'll do them up here, we can do it in my office, doesn't really matter. I'm pretty portable. But if you want to just get away and work with stuff, that's absolutely fine. And then when public input comes in, we can say, this is how we did it, this is how it looks. If any member of the public wants to bring forward a suggestion, they're welcome to do it. We'll add it in as a test. And then this body will go through each of the plans that's viable, other than the first, of course, which is going to be malapportioned. And at that point, you can decide up or down what plans you like. It's that simple. Doesn't seem simple right now, but it's going to be better, I promise. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Mr. John? Reckon not. Thanks, Gary. Who else?
I'll be back.
Mr. John, you had mentioned that, does this reapportionment affect district precincts realignment?
Oh, yes. Part of the process will be having to deal with precincts, because this body is unusual in that you must have whole precincts. So when we cut, if we have to cut population, we'll be creating new precincts. We may also be able to combine precincts if we need to. It's very common.
So when does that goes into effect? The subsequent election of next year will it affect the October election?
That's a great question. It depends on how early it's done, and I would not anticipate it being in October election.
Okay.
I would not. It is possible, but I don't think so.
Because we have to give notice to all the precincts.
Oh, I know.
The job that we do.
I know.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that we want to think about too, and I mentioned this before the meeting, is that Caddo has the most difficult ballot style of any parish in the entire state. I don't know if Mr. Robertson's told you that. He loves to tell me that. As we work on things, it's, where am I going to get more voting machines? Because the state's apparently not in a mood to buy voting machines. And every time we make one, we got to work on how it can be done. We have to think about that very, very closely. But at the same time, you've got to reapportion, and we're already planning on the fact there are going to be precinct changes. We will do our best not to make a bunch of them because it costs the citizens of this great parish a lot of money every time, and over a period of 10 years, that's a whole lot of money. We want to try to be as economical as possible. Anything else?
Mr. Lucky?
Gary, for our commissioners, if they want to get with you, is there a number that they can call, or how you want to set
You
that
have
deal?
every way to get me possible, known to me.
Okay, all right.
Right in there. And feel free, call me at home. You got my cell phone, you got my office number. The only one I didn't do because I'm at school teaching is my LSUS number. But, you know, I'll get back to you. And don't think you're bothering me because you're not. I'm here for you. And, you know, that's part of what I do, is being in contact.
Yes, sir, thank you. Gary, what about the school board?
Oh, yes.
I know, I remember last reapportionment, and I had a few of them that became quite angry with me because they felt that I was taking some territory that, and unfortunately, they're no longer there, so that won't be a problem for me, but I'm just concerned that,
I have some good news for you. And I've got it in this little thing. Please do read it. In the 2001 reapportionment cycle, everything was upside down, meaning that this body had elections after the school board. The school board is not the parish governing authority. They have no legal standing in creating precincts. They've got to come to you to do it. Period. Last time, the pressure was on this body to assist the school board because of the timing of their elections. So new precincts were created for them. All right. Now, this cycle is the same as it was in 1991, which is right side up. You're in the driver's seat. You do it. You create the precincts. It is not in your purview to worry about where a school is. If you want to worry about where a school is, guess what? I've got all those addresses, and I've already got little dot things, and I'll put them in there as a school, and that'll be fine. But, you know, I encourage you to talk to your counterparts, but they are going to have to conform to you. Before they do their reapportionment, they are going to have to look at the precincts that then exist, meaning whether or not it's October, doesn't matter, okay? If this body wishes at that time to help them and create more precincts, then you're allowed. You just have to have pre-clearance in the Department of Justice before you do it, because everything we do has to be pre-cleared by the Department of Justice. See? So it's better. It really is. Anything else?
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Joyner.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Mr. Gafford, do you want to add anything to that, sir? You want to add anything at all? Okay, that's fine. If you don't have anything, I know, what's our role from your perspective?
Yeah, well, I won't be able to make any maps until we get those pre-clearance letters from the Department of Justice.
Okay.
So when we get those letters, that's when I will start making maps.
Okay.
Of the new precincts.
Okay. Yes, sir. Just want to remind you all that this Friday we have an intergovernmental consortium meeting at the Independence Stadium Skybox, and we'll be discussing the master plan. I believe it's a final outbrief of the plan. It's coming to a conclusion, and this is it type of presentation from Gideon Clancy, and the answer to whatever questions you may have of the MPC staff and Gideon Clancy on Friday, I believe. Is that correct, Stephen T? Okay. Last item we have is Mr. Demijay. Just a little comment from the employee council to you all, and that will conclude my report.
Mr.
I'm sorry. Bowman has something.
Yes, and that was to the administrator. Now, it's also my understanding that in this meeting on Friday,
Okay.
it is the MPC's attempt to hire a planner, and they want to present that information, a planner and a planner's assistant,
Okay.
and seeking the funding to do that. Just FYI.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Mr. Johnson? What time is that meeting?
11:30.
Ms. Lynch?
Have we completed the payment cycle from the master plan itself? How much have we paid so far?
We have not received a final bill, but I will get that information for you, ma'am. But there's still money is due that we have to pay, but we haven't paid the final bill yet.
Okay, do you have a ballpark of what we've already paid?
About half,
Of the 400,000?
half of 400,000, 200,000.
Oh, okay, okay. I guess in that it's complete, is there, what's the, I guess, how is the billing coming in?
Well,
I know they're finished with the,
they will have to give us
plans.
all the copies of all the invoices.
okay,
And then once I present you all a copy of that, no further objections, and then it's our green light to go ahead and pay it.
so we carry that over in the budget, that amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I guess we'll discuss it, but since Russ brought it up. I read about it in the newspaper that they were going to be asking for the $20,000 from the parish, or that we were going to contribute. I mean, is that something
That's it, right here. The top
that
page
was
of it.
committed to them, or is that something that's just coming from the MPC?
That came after the budgetary process,
Okay.
and a subsequent discussion we had with the UNP, was talking about actually looking at zoning, planning the I-49 corridor. That came as an end of that discussion that came out about needing to execute the plan, and then just let people do it. So, Mr. Kirkland is aware that he has to make a presentation to you all, to let you all know what his plans are, with respect to hiring somebody, subject to your approval for funding.
But no commitment was made by the parish,
No, ma'am.
is
No,
what,
there's no
I guess is
commitment
what
made
my
by
question
anyone.
is, because I know we didn't discuss it as a commission.
We only committed for the initial money you all appropriated in the 2009 budget.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Thibodeau? Mr. Wilson, have you received any information from the city council on having a meeting with the full council and the full commission to have the plan presented in its finality, and then we can either choose to accept it or whatever we want to do with it? The reason I ask is I was watching the city council meeting the other day, and perhaps Ms. Bowman knows the answer to this, and it seemed like there was several different people who had talked about setting up a meeting with the commission for that purpose, and evidently everybody else thought everybody else had told everybody, and what happened is nobody knows about it. And because I don't see this intergovernmental meeting as being the place or the time to do that, since it's the city and the commission who finance this thing. It needs, and not all of us will probably be at that meeting, so it would seem logical for the council and the commission to have a joint meeting for that presentation. And like I said, maybe Ms. Bowman knows more about it than I do. I do.
So I agree, sir, that perhaps that would take place to have a combined meeting. But I think, I agree with you.
Because the school board really has a separate, I mean, although they're certainly, and they have an involvement, but they have a separate plan that they're trying to push that has little or nothing to do with the master plan as I see it. And I think Mr. Escobar said he knew more about it.
Yes, sir.
This is what I know. I had talked to, part of the city council's meeting last week, to President Jenkins, and expressed these same concerns that when this was our tri-governmental meeting, and I didn't understand why this would be a topic of the three bodies when there's only two bodies involved, nor did I understand, nor I was trying to figure out who set this up. Is the school board the host of this meeting?
No, sir, the NPC is. The school board is supposed to have been the host of our regular scheduled meeting, but I understand the NPC has volunteered to replace them by hosting this particular meeting to discuss the master plan.
Well, then this is not an intergovernmental, the tri-governmental meeting is out.
We can't hijack our, sorry.
This is not our tri-governmental entity meeting then, correct? Not what it is.
That's correct.
Okay, well, you know what, I'm not going to be there Friday as far as I'm concerned, there's no meeting. I'm not going to attend a meeting driven by someone that doesn't have one the authority to call a meeting. There needs to be some more light shed on this. So this meeting doesn't need to take place. It's middle of the day, it's poorly attended by the public. When we go into this process, it needs to be everybody's involvement and everything that needs to be out on the table. Just backing up a little bit, what I discussed with Councilman Jenkins was this, that I understand that we're at the point where we need to receive the plan, not approve the plan. They can put every word on it. We're going to receive the finished product from Goody Clancy. The city council can choose whatever words it wants to. As far as I'm concerned, we're going to accept the plan, receive it, not approve it. Then, as I indicated to Councilman Jenkins, I thought that each body needed to go ahead and each president, Mr. Epperson and himself, and get a committee relative to the parish and the city, who is willing to meet for the next 6 weeks and meet frequently and often, people who actually want to do the work, 3 or 4 people, and call through this plan. Now, I've read it. It's time-consuming, it's comprehensive, it's very redundant, but we need to get some people who actually have time to go through it, highlight it, ferret it out, see what the city has in common with the parish, where we have common jurisdictions, where we need to work together on some things, then get together with the city council's committee, the parish's committee, identify those things, where our common ground is. And a lot of our common ground would have to do with anything that's implemented within the 5-mile NPC's jurisdiction, because it will affect both of us. Once we isolate those things, then meet formally, both bodies in a joint meeting, to maybe take the joint committee's recommendation on timeline, just have a strategy. These things can be implemented at our recommendation very fast without cost. I mean, those are the most logical things we do. Then we take the next step. What is the next priority that we can do, that we feel like we can do? And it requires minimum to no resources, and then long term. It needs to be done by steps. The thing is very, very comprehensive. But without that, just to accept the plan, and in my view, and to hire staff to implement it, to implement what? The vision and the implementation of this plan is going to be through the direction of the city council and the parish commission. And without clear direction as to what we want to do and what we feel is best to do, and without some public input, I don't know where it can go anywhere. And personally, I think the MPC staff does a very good job, but I'm not willing just to turn it over to them and say, pick and choose and do. We've got too much time invested in this. We need to lead, the city council needs to lead in the implementation of this plan. It will be a working plan in progress. And then, again, we have other issues as to I-49 and all. So I think that's why the city council last week deferred action, because I brought up these same questions to President Jenkins. I said, we're not ready to do anything. This is news to us. In fact, he couldn't tell me who even placed that on their agenda, which was kind of suspicious to me, because only a council member or the mayor can put something on their agenda. He didn't know where it came from. So I just think something's moving this thing. I think it's something trying to move it too fast, and I'm not comfortable with it. That said, our next move, I think, will be, or probably be President Epperson's next move, is to get with President Jenkins and assign that committee so that we can work hard. What President Jenkins is concerned with and me is we don't want to drop the ball on this, and we don't want to drag our feet. But I think we can probably get the bulk of this done and get on to a good path somewhere in the first quarter. But we can't do it the first week of the year, as it seemed like there was an attempt to force us to do. We're not ready. That being said, Commissioner Epperson?
The balance of the funding, what fund does that come from?
We have appropriated monies in the 2009 budget to pay our portion of the master plan.
This out the general fund or any? General fund?
No, was that part of the capital budget?
That was appropriated out of the capital budget.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's all I have.
Short of that, what is the pleasure of this body as far as the meeting is concerned Friday? Ms. Bowman?
What kind of food do they have planned?
Are there any other topics?
If it's not the tri-body meeting, the way we normally met, then I don't see any reason for attending.
I tend to agree. I just wanted to get everybody's...
Maybe I fell asleep. I don't remember getting any type of notice on this. Did we get an email or anything?
Anyone else?
No, we normally get an email.
I hadn't heard anything about it until y'all started talking about it. I'm totally in the dark.
Okay. Seems to be the consensus opinion. We're saying what meeting, and if in fact there is some, it's too late for us to proceed with it. We've all got schedules to keep things to do, so we need to backtrack up on this.
Okay. So, Commissioner Cox?
Just show of hands, how many can make the meeting?
Not that I can't.
I just want to know. Mike and I have been to the meetings that we were appointed to, and so, whether they take over the meeting or not, I'm still going to go see what they say. Just to be on that safe side.
Who is they?
The MPC or Goody Clancy or somebody like that at this intergovernmental meeting. I understand that they are not a body of government, but if they've got the meeting, the school board sat down and said, hey, look, we don't have anything on the agenda, we're going to give it to y'all, that's fine by me. I'm going to go there and see what they say. So I just want to let everybody know I will be there. So.
Well, I find it sort of suspicious that, in light of not having another meeting topic, that the school board would want to abdicate the responsibility to another entity that's non-governmental. It's not part of the thing. That's the problem I have with it.
And I agree with you. I agree with you to that point. But since the meeting has been set, the agenda has been set by whoever.
I've received no notice of the meeting. I've received no agenda.
What's that thing?
You know about it. I don't have a clue about it.
You all know about it now.
Just for the record, I have not seen an agenda either, nor received anything other than verbal conversation.
Who made the agenda?
Hasn't been an agenda made.
I mean, who said NPC could host it? Who made that decision?
Undoubtedly, it must be if I can,
School board.
the school board, I guess, gave up their time. Each one hosts, they rotate the host. To bring up issues that's for the betterment of everybody, whether it be the school board, commission, or city council. School board, realistically, I say it, they really don't have much to say when they get there. But this was their time, and I guess they gave it up to the MPC.
Commissioner Lynn?
Since the school board has done a master plan and the parish and the city have done a master plan, is it possible that this meeting, and maybe Mr. Jean knows about this, is it possible that they're going to talk about how the two master plans that were done independent of each other conflict with one another? One says one thing and the other says the opposite.
Give the presentation. I doubt that they didn't do the school board.
Let's hear Mr. Jean, can you answer the question?
How this came about is we began to discuss in staff what would be a good way to inform both bodies of what was in the plan and give an opportunity for both governing bodies to ask questions. One of the ideas that we talked about was when we began to kick off this process, we used that forum, the intergovernmental meeting, as the forum to kick the process off. Thought it was a good way to give this body and the city council an opportunity to have our consultant, Goody Clancy, in the room and our staff, and ask any questions regarding the plan that you may have. It wasn't the intent to ask you to take any action on the plan at that time, but to give you a chance so that you could ask questions and any information that you had regarding the plan, because you've been given grasp of the plan. There's only been minor changes to the plan since the draft was prepared, and give you an opportunity to interact with Goody Clancy and our staff. It was just an idea that we asked the question, is it possible, if there was no agenda item for the next intergovernmental meeting, could we be the agenda item? as we began to work through that, we worked through it with the city council staff, just to floated the idea. We also talked to staff here to see if that could be done. And it began to be apparent that in order for this meeting to happen, we would just begin to work through that. We never got any kind of indication whether that was even possible from any entity other than the city council. We acted on that information. And it was our understanding that once this possible date was set, then we began notifying the different bodies. So we weren't really trying to take the place of the school board. We were just trying to give the opportunity that made sense to get everybody in the room at the same time to answer questions so that we were, repeating the same thing. You're coming the same round twice. We could do it all at one time, just like we did when we started the process. So that was the intent, was to be somewhat have some economy in our time in dealing with being able to answer questions and do it in a way that was nice and open. So that was really all we were trying to do. It was an idea, and we were working primarily through the city council staff. When we began to talk this idea, we also talked to Woody's office as well.
Mr. Jean, will the school board's master plan be brought up in conjunction with this meeting, and will there be talk about both of the plans and how they could work together?
Obviously, we're going to be responding to questions from anyone who attends the meeting, and obviously, especially the elected officials, and if there's some discussion about that, that's fine. But primarily is to brief what's in the plan, any questions you have about the plan. That was the intent. And we do have Larissa Brown going to be in town for that purpose, to just be able to answer any questions that you may have, because you've had a chance to look over the plan. I'm sure you have questions, and then we can talk about any aspect of the plan, including any ideas about collaboration.
The school board will have a representative to talk about their plan, and the two of
I don't know
talk about how they work together or don't.
There's been no dialogue with the school board to talk about the plan. The only thing that we intended to do was present the plan itself and give a chance for people to ask questions. So, no, there's been no talk about that. Although during the master plan, we have done our best and our consultant to coordinate with us and provide information to the school board regarding anything that they may be doing. And that's all that's been happening. We've been cooperative. But as far as any type of formal inclusion of the plans to work together, we've never done that.
That's all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Ms. Lynch?
Stephen,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I appreciate you all putting forth the effort to try to get everybody in the same room at the same time. But let me say that intergovernmental meeting, and I guess evidently no one talked with the school board, but there are quite a few issues that are going on with the school board, Vision 2020 that's going on. They're talking about closing 2 schools in my district. The city has a bond issue that's coming up. We've got a special election. You heard that we have this redistricting process. I mean, contrary to what some people write in the paper about us being fat cats and not doing all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot on our plates. And that intergovernmental meeting is the time that we talk about these things. And so I agree with Commissioner Thibodeau that this needs to be totally separate from that, because we have enough issues to talk about with each other, the 3 bodies, separate apart, not even including the master plan at this point. So I think that a separate meeting in which we've been consulted and agreed to meet in that format at a particular place and time, because what I was thinking, when we have those meetings, we have input on that agenda, even though someone else may be hosting it. If the school board is hosting it or the city is hosting it, they call us and they ask us, what do you want on the agenda to discuss from your perspective, and if we're hosting, vice versa. And so it really, that intergovernmental meeting is intended for those 3 bodies. And I think if the MPC wanted needs to talk about this master plan, then we need to do that, in consultation with the 2 bodies, city council and the commission, and not us hear about it basically when we get here today. Okay. So that's just I think some of the feedback that you're getting, you know, I mean, you've been here enough to know we're deliberative and we're participating, we want to cooperate and all of that, but we like to know. And so, I don't know what the final decision will be, but I think it may be a little preemptive at this point for us to engage in those discussions when we really need to be talking about some other stuff this month. Thank you.
Commissioner Pearson?
Is this the quarterly meeting date, is this the date? That's all right now, I just want to know if this was the date.
Thank you, Coach. Commissioner Thibodeau? Whatever goes on Friday is going to happen again, but before the full body of the commission and the full body of the council. So I don't see that being an economy of scale at all, because whatever Goody Clancy or the MPC does, you got to make the same presentation again. Because the meeting on Friday, primarily, each body has chosen a committee to represent the bodies, and of course those people normally go, and then of course anybody who wants to go is invited to go, but I think you're gonna have to do all this all over again, either to us separately and to the council separately, or the council and the commission together. So I just see it as a big waste of time on Friday.
Commissioner Epperson?
Stephen, I can appreciate what you all tried to do, but I've received several concerns over the holidays from constituents that I had planned to present there at the end of the governmental, meeting. And subsequent meetings, I've received email. I forget the young lady's name from the city. If you want to add anything to the agenda, which I did, and I think the last meeting we had, I got some U-turn signs put on Pines Road. And, so that's what I was prepared to do. I got 2 pages of stuff that I was prepared to discuss, during just a regular intergovernmental agreement. However, I also had an idea that I would have liked to implement it. When I say a little later on, I'm talking about within the next couple of weeks in this month, relative to the master plan situation. I've been reading the correspondence about the positions, and I think those things are premature. And so I would respectfully ask that, if possible, that we could maybe counsel the situation, reviewing that particular item about the master plan, and let's just go ahead with our regular intergovernmental meeting, because that's what I was prepared to address.
Mr. Cox? At any given time, Stephen, in the near future, did you have scheduled a meeting that you'd like to come before our body, the city council, or have a joint venture together?
We didn't have that in mind. What the idea was, and obviously you're the ones that are taking action on this item, and we of course would like to take as much input from you as possible. But the idea was there would be some sort of ordinance or resolution or maybe even both that would come before this body at some point after this. The idea was that we could work through getting the briefing done, be able to answer as many questions, is because what the actual instrument that you do is a separate issue. You'll be asked to either a resolution or ordinance or both, and we felt like that was one issue, but getting the nuts and bolts questions and answers on the plan might be better in a separate meeting where we can really concentrate on that and talk about it. And like I said, it wasn't the intent to have a briefing with each individual body. This was actually an idea to try to maybe consolidate that and consolidate the time. Any confusion regarding this and lack of information going to your body was strictly unintentional. We thought we were working with the right people and working to set this meeting up with the city council staff and discussions that we've had with staff. So it's well intended for us to do this at this time. Obviously, we're going to acquiesce to your desires and what you would want us to do.
Well, on a follow-up, I would ask that if we're at this point of the master plan, go back, set a date, with this body, with the city council. Let's get us in a meeting and keep this thing going. Something like this, okay, miscommunication, I really don't care. I was gonna be there anyway. I'm always there. But let's don't let this put us behind. Let's keep moving forward, get a meeting date set between the two bodies. You present it to us so we can keep this thing going. We do not need to fall behind.
So is it what I'm hearing is a joint meeting with the city council and the parish commission is the desire that you'd like to see?
That would be my recommendation to the body of the commission, but, you know, you might want to have them vote on everything. It's fine by me. Of course, I can multitask.
I still want to know.
I can't read it from over there. What did you say?
What's on the menu?
You can multitask when you're eating, can't you? I'm starting to work out at 5:30 today. We need to hurry up and get out of here. I'd like to say that. You came right away as well. I'll be at the park on Meriwether. I mean, I don't see what the hell he's trying to talk with. I want to go to agreement, everybody know what they need to do.
Okay, cannot talk. We have a suggestion so we can, I don't want to see the ball dropped on this thing either, but also, we need to be on the same page as the city council. I suggest that we go ahead and allow whatever they want to call this meeting to take place Friday, and for those interested to, in fact, you have had time to read through the plan and ask your questions. And Commissioner Epperson and I were talking that let's go ahead and, even though it'd be late, let's try to plan our first tri-governmental meeting. Let's try to do it sometime next month rather than have it this Friday so that we have time to get an appropriate agenda. If the school board doesn't want to host it or can't or does not have a proper agenda for it, then we'd be willing to do it. But at this short time, there's no way to redo it. You follow me? So, my suggestion is all of us, I'll be there Friday, let's show up, let's see how this thing goes, but it is not going to be an intergovernmental agreement or meeting, because it's just going to be an MPC presentation, a Q&A, informal. In the end, what I would like to say is that, hopefully, and I haven't gotten in depth with it with Commissioner Epperson or President Jenkins, but when the City Council and the Commission assigns its committees to study this master plan and to make its recommendations, and I've discussed it with him, as I said, they will meet fast, often, and furiously hopefully for 5 to 6 weeks. I want to sit on this, that we would need and expect, at least from the parish perspective, that we have a member of MPC staff at those committee meetings on each body, because we're going to have, who is familiar with the plan, to help us call it part down, get the timeline on the things, get them prioritized, the whole 9 yards. And that's what we were hoping to do, and then jointly resolve where we have common interest moving forward with it. But, and I can't speak for other members here, but I think that I can for President Jenkins, because he had understood that it's our hope and our intention that once this is done, that it is not MPC staff who is going to drive the implementation of this. It is going to be the governing bodies who are going to drive you to do your job. Because ultimately, whether it succeeds or fails or anything gets done and all, it's going to come back on us, not you. All right, everybody good with that? Any other questions? So, I'll see you Friday. Okay, Mr. Wilson, do you have anything else?
Yes, sir, one last comment.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Commissioner Escudé, and the Commission. On behalf of the Employee Council and employees of Caddo Parish, we wanted to just give a heartfelt thank you to the Commission for allowing us the extra time off over the holidays to spend with our families. And the general consensus from the employees of Caddo Parishes. We thank you because of your actions. It gave us the feeling of gratitude that you appreciate the work that each man and woman for Caddo Parish has given. And the second note is that we would like to remind you that on your calendars, this is the Employee Recognition Month. At the end of the month, we will be having our annual recognition of our employees. We had a great time last year, and we're hoping that each and every one of the commissioners can join us again at the Skybox on the 28th, and where we can recognize, we have some employees that have been working for well over 30 years. We'd like to have you there with us to thank them for their hard-earned time.
What time, Mr. Chairman, 28?
28, it's 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
Anybody else? Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Anything else? That concludes my report, sir. All right, that's it. Move on to communication reports.
Good.
Commissioner Pearson?
Yes, on December 11th, I was privileged to speak to a group at a luncheon who were the mentors of the children of incarcerated parents. And I accepted a plaque on your behalf because they felt that the contribution you made to them really jump-started that program. And so this is a certificate that for the commission that simply says Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is awarded to the Caddo Parish Commission in recognition of valuable contributions as charter donors of Mentoring Children of Prisoners program. And they were really appreciative, and it really jump-started the participation by other groups and other companies because they had a company that came up for Christmas and provided all $4,300 just over a week or so for presents and to make sure that these young kids had a Christmas. And they felt it was because of our participation that validated other participation by other companies. So to that end, I want to present this to the president who's gone off. I'll just give it to you.
I'm going to give it to Tom. You can put it back in the commission area.
Okay.
Thank you. You don't want to pass it around? Yeah, we didn't say it. Okay. It's not the fee.
Ms. Pierce?
That's it.
That's it, okay. I have a communique out. Mr. Good, do we still have jurisdiction over the cable companies like granting them a franchise, or was that taken from us by the state? Yeah, they used to come to us and make a presentation at some points in time, didn't they? Prior to, is it a termination date, an expiration date?
Well, we have a couple of franchises, Mr. Epson. I don't, off the top of my head, know what the expiration dates are on them, but I can find out.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had called Mr. Lucky relative to some concerns from some constituents about cable billing, and I wanted to ask Mr. Lucky if he would, since we still had a jurisdiction with the franchise, see if we can have someone here at next work session from Comcast Cable to speak with relative to practices.
Yes, sir, we will.
Okay. And also, I'd like to announce that on January 27th at 6:30 p.m., I'll be hosting my annual district informative meeting for Commission District 12, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Shreveport Road Center, 8877 Jefferson Page Road. Hopefully that's good for the staff. I think we all know the procedures, so we'll follow basically the same concept as we have in the past. And Mr. Hopkins, I'll get you a copy of the notification, and we can change that and get that out.
That's Shreveport Road Center.
Shreveport Road Center, that's what they call it now, Shreveport Road Center, American Road Center. No, it's not in Greenwood. I thought it was Greenwood too. It's in Shreveport.
Is it?
But Mayor Hanson said we claim it. It's stepchild.
Okay. That was a different place.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other communications? 6:30.
All right, moving on.
No old business, sir.
Well, we do have a letter of intent.
Okay, letter of intent, resolution.
Yeah, well, Rusty Williamson, he's announcing his candidacy, member at large on the Police Jury Association. I believe everybody's got that. No old business, new business.
Ordinance 5063 of 2011 to amend the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $30,000 to support the forthcoming Police Jury Convention.
Motion to move to Thursday, moved by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Lane. Any discussion? Commissioner Epperson?
So Pearson, what are we going to use this for?
This will be for the support of all of the things that we are going to be responsible for as a commission for the convention. I think we thought that we have hit on our other people hard enough, you know, the sponsors and people who have been vendors and people who we do business with. We hit them pretty good. I think Robert hit them pretty good, and so you know, instead of going through that motion, we decided to see if the commission would entertain us putting that money, giving that money to make sure that our convention would be a success.
Commissioner Cox?
Just one side note on that, as commissioners in this area, since we are the host committee, we are looking for door prizes. So if you could ask some people in your districts, businesses, if they would like to give away some flower arrangements, it don't matter what it is. We're taking any and all. It could be a full golf, round of golf, it could be anything and everything. So,
Date with me?
ma'am?
A date with me?
Oh, Lord.
There's some hard things, there's some things we can't.
Line would be too long.
They're advertising a movie. I think it's the Craigslist Killer. I don't even think.
And if I may, Mr. President, this is a budget figure. The more money, if we do raise some money or we get some donations, the next, you know, we won't have, it's not that we're going to spend all of it, it's just a budget figure, and if we get enough door prizes, then perhaps the date with Stephanie would draw enough. But anyway, that...
Suggesting an auction item?
Silent, maybe.
Silent. We want to avoid a riot.
Thank you.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
Did you get that out?
As quickly as possible, I'd like to get off that and blow those 4, 5, 6, and 7. With 3.
All right, it's been moved. And seconded by Commissioner Cox that we englobe those 3, 4. What else?
5, 6, and 7. I was going to leave the other for
All
Dale.
right. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that motion to move these to Thursday? If not, let's vote, please. Move to Thursday. Next item, please.
Resolution number 1 of 2011 approving the meetings for the Caddo Parish Commission for the year 2011.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cox, seconded by Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Epperson.
I'd like to make an amendment, if I may. I'd like to amend the calendar to change the commission meeting of February 17th to February the 16th at 3:30 p.m. due to us hosting the Police Jury Association Convention.
Been moved and seconded that we move that date as prescribed. Is there any discussion on that motion? I'd like to amend the calendar. All right. Exception, let's vote to move that forward as amended. Passes. Good call, Mr. Epperson. Next.
Next, consider a request by CCAA to provide matching funds for the construction of Head Start Center in the town of Wall City.
Move to Thursday. Moved by Commissioner Dominic, seconded by Commissioner Baker. Any discussion on the motion? Move to Thursday. There you go. Let's move to Thursday. Next item, please.
Authorize approval for commissioners to attend the 2011 NACO Justice and Safety Symposium to be held in New Orleans.
Move to Thursday.
Seconded by Commissioner Lane, seconded by Commissioner Lynn. Any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Cox?
How do you plan on going?
Pardon me?
How many commissioners plan on going?
I plan on going.
Two?
Just those two?
It's a Thursday, isn't it?
Yes, I believe it starts on
The
Thursday.
19th
Wednesday or
is,
Thursday, I
is
think.
it the 19th to the?
Through the 22nd. Whatever
Yes,
it is.
it's Wednesday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we cover the cost for these two?
Friday, Saturday.
I think it's just the two juvenile experts plan on going. I don't think anybody else is.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we're just covering y'all's cost. Right?
I've got to go.
You're part of the.
Right, the motion is for commissioners. Now, I mean, I'm planning on going.
Okay, he's just asking who all
Yeah.
plan on going.
My basic question is, you're part of the agenda down there, are they paying for yours, or
No,
we
no,
paying
not,
for it?
no.
Paying for what?
We're paying for it. Right. The commission. This is the, am I, President?
Finished?
Yes.
Anybody else? I don't know who was, anybody raise your hand, because my board's up wrong. Commissioner Lynn?
This is a symposium. I guess I've been emailing y'all about at least a month on this now with the agenda and what's under discussion. If you need me to resend it, I can. But this is a symposium that the Police Jury Association, as well as myself, I serve on the committee, on the national committee, vice chair on that committee, is hosting in New Orleans.
Any other discussion on the motion?
A lot of discussion. I'll be there, but I plan to be back Thursday afternoon for the meeting. I have to do a welcome on behalf of the state commission, but that's not going to be this commission's responsibility. My expenses won't be this commission's responsibility.
Okay, it's going to be, so really it's coming down to be Commissioner Land and Commissioner Lynch. All I ask is that you bring us something back that we can use. I do want to say that in the last 3 years, since Commissioner Lynn and Commissioner Lynch have been so active in juvenile, that, I have to admit, we have made great strides there. Not only budgetarily, but as far as our policies, as improving the system, and a lot of it is attributed by the things that they have sought out and studied, and some of which brought back. So hopefully they can bring something good there, because that's for a long time we burn our rear in a sore spot, and we're starting to have people come here and look at what we're doing in our facility, so they can take back to theirs, and that's what we wanted. So we're showing some progress there, so thank you for your work. I hope you get something out of this. All right, nothing else, vote to move to Thursday, please. All right, let's move to Thursday. Next item, consent agenda. That's it. We're adjourned. Steve, I guess, is going to get with me. If I could do a little presentation on Thursday, I guess I'll have Orlando's information and stuff so that I can